Now, my little mushrooms, we are well and truly on the way. Episode 6. And we're going to put a roof on this thing. But before I explain what's going on here and here, I need to explain what's going on here. Cast your mind back to a couple of months ago when I was literally pumping water away from the studio. The big question was, where does the water go? And if the ground is saturated, will it go? So I had a couple of months to think about this, and I was fully committed to building a well. Now when I say well, I mean a sump pit. Somewhere that the water can drain into and then I can pump that water out again. I had already rented a digger and dumper to do the last cleanup of the garden, so I said, right, I'll dig a hole and I'm going to make forms to pour concrete into and do this thing properly. And then I said, what on earth are you doing? You're going to kill yourself. I was already tired, body aching, never mind the time it was going to take. So as frugal as I've tried to be, I just said, this is one of those times you're going to have to spend money. Now there's something that happens to me when I'm on the phone ordering stuff that I'm not really familiar with. I don't know if this happens to you guys. I become this sort of different person. I'll say yes, but I don't always know what I'm saying yes to.
Yeah, it's a big 10-4, buddy. Put it on the back of a truck and ship it out to me.
So when I was on the phone to Bartos explaining the issue, he said,
yes, Tony, my friend, I know exactly what you need. You need a twin-wall, non-perf HDPE culvert pipe, and you should probably take a couple or two.
And I said, okay. So that was €450. Yeah, came on a truck, 6 meters long, and absolutely humongous. Stupid, but not stupid. Turns out good old Bartos did know exactly what he needed. I could cut the culvert into smaller sections, doubling capacity. And then all I had to do was drill the side and let those land drains in. Saving an absolutely massive amount of labour. So I think money well spent. Look at me installing culverts. Felt like I was on an episode of Gold Rush. Sorry, I'm just admiring my work. Wow. Now all we have to do is wait till it rains. So I'll come back to that. In the meantime, let's give a certain person back their garden. I've had it for long enough. How long is it now? Over a year. Over the next few days, I neaten things up, restoring my wife's faith in my abilities and placing me firmly in the good books again. Uh-oh, I forgot something. The service ducts only go halfway up the garden. Nah, I didn't let it go that far. Everything is perfectly under control here. So the duct on the left will make a little turn and veer off to the kerosene burner, and that'll carry radiator pipes to the studio. The duct on the right will continue onto the house and bring electricity, internet, bison and caribou back down to the studio. I have to cut across the path here and eventually we'll get into the house. I'm not sure if I'll go up the wall with the cables, maybe put them in containment, or if I'll dive directly into the house at low level, so still deciding about that. So put the last connections onto the inspection chamber and started the backfill, broke the pipe and continued to backfill the rest of it. And it gets worse. Monica found out I was using her angle grinder. She was not a happy woman. Luckily, this little guy came along. And he knows exactly how to sweet talk his mama. Before too long, I was back angle grinding, just like the good old days. Let's leave running those radiator pipes and electrical cables for another day, and go back to putting a roof on this thing. I had seen a fiberglass roof installed before, and I always thought it was something I could tackle myself. OSB 3 boards and with the fiberglass on top. So next question is, how are we going to insulate it? Is it going to be a cold roof, where the insulation is below the roof line? Or is it going to be a warm roof, where the insulation is actually above the roof line? So in my situation, the cold roof would take away from the standing room within the building. I'd have to consider ventilation, and already people were commenting on how low it was at the back. And with the warm roof, I didn't even know where to begin. I just don't have the expertise for that. So the fiberglass option slowly went out the window. While I was trying to figure out what to do, I did take people's comments on board and raised the frame at the back. This wasn't too bad. I was going to have timber stud walls as well for additional support, so I wasn't too worried. To be honest, my mind was elsewhere. What on earth was I going to do about this roof? Then, out of the blue, I come across this man's video on YouTube.
Right, the roof's arrived. But how on earth does it all go together?
This is Leo, and he's using structural insulated roof panels on his workshop build. Huh? Structural? Insulated? What? Now, I'd seen these before in commercial settings, but it was really Leo who introduced me to the possibility that they could be actually used in a garden room. The fact that he was going into it from zero gave me the confidence that I could go about the same. So I literally watched his video, took notes on the materials that he was using, and contacted a local supplier. If you're thinking about doing a similar type of roof, you should check out Leo's videos, really helpful. And as his channel name suggests, he's doing it single-handedly, which is even more impressive. Thanks, Leo. Back to my build. So me and Michelle from the roofing supplies company had been emailing back and forth, fine-tuning my order. Turns out Michelle was actually Michael. I only found this out about 5 or 6 emails in. Only slightly embarrassing. Michael was really helpful, and I went for 8 quad-core roof panels. They're 4.5 metres long and 80mm insulation. They also have a 75mm cutback at the back, and that's to allow for water drip off. So how do we get these pancakes up onto the roof? So I figured I'd disconnect the middle purlin and move that forward to be able to slide the panels then up in between. So I did some bracing because this thing is still a little bit wobbly. We'll see how wobbly it is in a minute. Undid the bolts of the purlin and slid the thing forward. You can tell why I'm wearing the ear defenders. Horrendously loud. Ooh, wobble. Wait a minute. And they're not even on my ears. No wonder I'm going deaf. Luckily, my brain was still working, and I used 2 ratchet straps tied together to help me get the panels up. A, I suppose, to catch them in case they slipped, and B, you know, my shoulders aren't wonderful pieces of equipment anymore, and I'm going to use any assistance I can get. Except for people, of course. I'm doing this all by myself. Yes. Ego death. Still on the cards for me. Anyway, I spent a bit of time lining up the first panel and secured it in place to the front and back purlins. And then it was time to join the second panel to the first. So these simply fit over each other, and you run a line of butyl tape along the last ridge of each panel, and then just press the 2 panels together. And as Riton and Carlo would probably say, if you leave with me, we'll be on till morn, then we rinse and repeat, and it just goes on. Mwah! Perfecto. Except not 100% perfect. I've since got advice from a roofer that if you're screwing the tech screws into the roof panels, it's better to go through the ridge or the crest and not the valley, because water will want to pool in the lowest point. But you know me, I like to live dangerously, so... So, geezer, what are you thinking about this roof business then? Okay, a little breakdown. A, really fast and easy to install. I can do it myself, don't have to pay anyone to do it. Yes, it's expensive, but forget about the tax for one moment on this that the government will use to build expensive bicycle sheds instead of constant glucose monitors for type 1 diabetics. You're also getting B. The insulation is part of the roof, so insulation and roof done all in one go. Those 2 reasons alone sold it for me, but if you did want to see, this roof is maintenance free. And if installed correctly, a warranty of 25 years. You might be wondering why I'm putting the roof on before the walls. The simple reason is the rain. This was Ireland's rainiest year on record, and much like those poor bikes in Leinster House, I needed shelter. Okay guys, quick favour to ask, just take a mental note of what's happening here, because this comes back to bite me in the ass. I'm going to save that for a future episode. Two more things. Gonna pop the little caps on the tech screws. And remember my barrels from Bartos? Well, major success. Because the barrels are just sitting in the soil, once one fills up, the second one also fills up simultaneously. Very glad I didn't fill the bottom of these with concrete. I'm using a pump here, but they actually drain off naturally as well. Just takes a little longer. Let's leave it there for episode 6. If you haven't already, don't be shy, hit that subscribe button. And tune in for episode 7, where I've ordered the wood for the stud walls and I beef out the roof a little bit. Things are beginning to take shape. Anyway, adios. Hasta la próxima.